all can be useful. That is why the statement says that all material can be interpreted in a new way. It doesn't mean that, all types of information is not valid anymore at this particular time. Yes, we are in 2022. But how you interpret it, how you link the old material, the historical data with the current one. So these are the things that you need to know. Explore the field's intellectual history by providing a timeline from where it begins and how it evolved. Okay, this is the thing that I'm going to share with you today. Because when I try to use this particular approach in the publication, it seems like it works very well. So possibly, this will be a good tips for you to apply, not only for your publication, but also in your PhD thesis writing. Yeah? Evaluate the sources and inform the reader of the most pertinent research if appropriate. And usually the literature review conclusion identify gaps in the prior study or on an issue. So normally when you develop your literature review paper, the conclusion must be something that is tangible, that really highlight what is the uniqueness of your work. What have you figured out from gathering all of the evidence? Because you are talking about comprehensive literature review, comprehensive background work. Okay? So, a literature review objectives are, as you can see, yeah, I can share the content later on with you guys from the sources. So look into the point, yeah. Put each piece of work in the context. Describe those pieces related to the other works being considered. Find fresh angles for interpreting earlier work. Identify any gaps in the available research. You do the reconciliation. Determine areas of previous research to avoid wasting time. Identify a need for more research and locate your research into the context of the body of knowledge. So, when looking into all of these available points, ladies and gentlemen, this is a thing that is a must for you to do in your PhD work. When I listed out this from various sources down there, you know that at the end of the day, when we read your thesis, when we read your paper, we can understand everything context line by line. That is why when you submit a literature review paper for a journal publication, normally the reviewer wants to find the uniqueness in your paper. It is not about review. Everyone can do review. You just pick it up, combine everything, review. Oh, A says this, B says this, C says this, enough. No. What we want to see, okay, A says something, B says something, C says something. So what can you gather from this something? Can you classify this something to something that is meaningful? So that's another level on how you do the interpretation of your literature review or your background work. Okay, those part is called synthesize. Okay, so if you're able to do this to another level, then if you want to submit to a good and reputable journal, it is not going to be much problem because you do another level rather than only review. Okay, this is a list of potential journals that normally students can submit for a review paper. Most of the journal, if you ask me, I think you also know about this. You can see that most of the journal will always accept review paper, but be careful. Some journals, they don't accept review paper. They already stated, yeah, in the aims and scope. So always read aim and scope carefully. Like this one, these two, yeah, the Computer Science Review and ACM Computing Survey. These two are basically solely on all review paper. So if you go to that particular journal, you will see that all of the journal that is published within this particular journal is everything about review paper. Some are very long, some are very short. So as a PhD student, especially if you are still in the first and second year, it is highly recommended that you try to publish at least one paper and submit to a good or reputable journal. because it is part of your PhD work. So you help yourself to do better. You help your supervisor as well to do better. It inspires you and it gives you some confidence when you do your PhD. Because at the end of the day, remember, during your Viva session, I always hear this, especially from the external examiner. We had a Viva session like 2 months ago. So the examiner, the first thing, before we start the session, so this is like a private session. So the examiner will mention something like this. Well, I think this student's doing a pretty good job because he or she already published in a very reputable journal. So he mentioned this and this and this. So first impression is always important here. Possibly that examiner already read the content or no, I'm not so sure. But at least because you have proven something, especially with literature review paper. Again, this is the foundation, this is a basic thing that you need to produce in your PhD work. So why not? You expand a little bit further, make it as a paper. Okay, I help you to do this as well. So these are among a good reputable journal, Q1, and we provide the review time as well for you. So you can try and figure out this as well. Or else later on you will always go to one particular journal and then you check, they don't provide the review time. Now I provide this for you guys, at least for the first time. We have many, but this is the first time that is related to review paper, literature review paper journal. Okay. Okay, so my first part is from FYP to a publication. So what are the steps? Thanks to Associate Professor Dr. Manmik, Professor Azman, Dr. Atiyah, Dr. Teh Jason. They are our reviewers. They are our panels. They are our examiners. So I'm going to share with you guys. This is the final year project for undergraduate students, my past year students. I'm supposed to have 3, but the other one is like broken like crazy already because it has been lent by from one hand to another hand. So you can have a quick look on this content and material. Begin?
The last slides before this one.
Oh, you want to take this picture?
Yes.
Okay. So this is undergraduate work. So we try to figure out how we can make sense this work to a better level. So people used to say we should start small. Aim high, but start small, start from the very first beginning. So rather than go directly to the top 10% journal, I'll start with Scopus journal. Okay, just a basic one. Well, it is a good and a great success for me and the team. So what are the steps? Identify the right and suitable contents, find the right approach, and find the right journal. So when we are talking about the right journal, of course, as a student, as a supervisor, we need to think about whether it is free or it is a paid journal. Definitely, we want the free journal, but the consequences normally, time will be longer. The review time to publish, but some journals, they are published, the journal very fast, although it is free. But most of the paid journal publish the paper slightly faster as compared to the free version. Okay, so next, identify the right content. So these are basically the thesis from the undergraduate. So these are the 2 theses that you can see, you can browse through. So from this, I personally, together with Dr. PM Manmik as well, so we managed to publish quite a number of papers from this so-called final year project. So this is one thing that you can embed in your thesis and also in your paper. The first one, find the right approach. So this is what we call a classification of problems and challenges. So if you can try to classify, I'm not going to discuss about the content of the paper, no. I'm going to share what are the key aspects that you can bring back home and try to figure out and improve your work later on. So the first one, classification of problem and challenges. How you try to identify what is the problem and challenges in your domain. How are you going to present it? Up to you. So with my students, so this is how she portray her work. Yeah. So try to put in a very good narrative, in a very good presentation, rather than putting all these lengthy sentences. Yeah. You can still have your own table of comparison and all those kind of things, but here it's kind of like a summary thing. Next, find the right approach, summary of the previous work and mapping problems to the solution. Yeah, it's a bit small there, so sorry about that. I think this one is much better than this part. So the right hand corner over there is basically problem and challenges, and I try to highlight what are basically works that has been done for every single problems and challenges. So again, this is what you normally do, but how you present it does matter. Okay, on the right is basically how I map the problems towards the solution. So you have to think creatively on how you can present this and make it more meaningful. Yeah. Same goes to this one as well, summary of the solution. So how you combine all of the solution, and on the right you put the authors and the explanation. So it is not end by having this. Of course, after you have all these tables, figures, you need to have at least a paragraph to explain, to justify what's going on. Yeah, to give the rationale why the comparison being made that way. Okay. Okay, so this is our first success at that particular time. Yeah, the PM Dr. Mahmid, me, and our students. So we managed to publish to this journal, Information Security Journal, Global Perspective. It is not JCR. Remember, this is only undergraduate paper. So at least at that particular time, we are so happy about this. It took us almost 8 months to publish this, and it's free. Okay, so good to see that basically it is ESCI. Okay, so it's doable. It's not only meant to you, but possibly to my colleague as well. So we can really do this if we want. It's just like the matters of time, whether you have a very good passion or not, you know, to do this. Okay, next, lesson learn 1. I asked this to myself, can I do much better in my subsequent publication? Should I aim for higher level, more impactful journal, JCR journal? And how about if I go for JCR Q1 to Q4? So I'm asking myself, and again, I'm asking my students as well. Unfortunately, they already graduated. So at the end of the day, I have to do the work for them to a certain extent, but thanks to them, because they already provide all the contents and evidence. I just need to narrate, narrate everything once again, find what is missing bits, try to connect back all the dots, because, you have 3 different theses. Now the dots is that way, that way, that way. So I'm the one who are going to connect all these dots together. So, Alhamdulillah, we managed to publish to this journal at that particular time, Census Q1, but now I think it's go to Q2 already. Unfortunately, we have to pay quite expensive fees for this particular journal. That's the only consequences. But for me, as I said, I don't mind, because this is our first trial from final year project products. And we managed to do slightly better as compared to our previous publication. So in this publication, as you can see, my point initially, I talk about the timeline. So all of this work basically has been done by me when I did my sabbatical leave for 9 months. So one of my tasks is basically to complete this paper. So I have to narrate back everything, do this. Okay, so in other words, your supervisor do this, not the students. So we do our work very well as well. Okay, so you, of course, as a student also do an excellent work as well. Okay, so I tried to propose this, and this is an example of what we call a timeline. You try to gather the problems and challenges timeline, possibly the solution, possible solution timeline, just to show how it evolved. And from there, you can start to identify where it begins. Because when we do PhD, remember, we want to analyze and we want to understand the root of the problem. So when we are talking about the root of the problem, possibly timeline can give you some significant answers. Yeah. So these are the things. Is it easy to do this? Well, okay, not so easy, but you have to put lots of hard work. Okay. Next, that's the part where I try to do the classification of the problem. So on the top part, as you can see, so the first part was done by my students, yeah. Then it's evolved, then it's evolved. So we try to do that mapping because we want to ensure that when the reader or reviewer read your paper, they can understand why the current work should be accepted to be published in this particular journal. What is going to be the value added towards this journal now, as for now. Yeah. So the bottom part is quite similar to what you have seen before. Yeah. The improvement. This is the flow and classification of the problem. Here is the summary of approaches. It's quite lengthy, as you can see. Lots of information. It's quite similar to the previous one, but more added value, latest data, latest historical data, and so forth. Again, classification and summary of the solution as well. Lesson learned 2. Okay, the first one is lesson learned 1, now lesson learned 2. Can I do much better in my subsequent publication? So from final year project, we start with a Scopus journal, then we managed to publish the Q1, Q2 journal, impact factor journal paper. So I keep asking this again to myself and of course to my students. Okay, now we are going to talk about the beyond part. How about if we go to the extreme level Q1 JCR journal? It is free, most probably. And why not if we go and venture into this top 10% journal? Can we really do this? I think this is the dream of you, of us as a supervisor, right? You want to have this, at least one, or possibly all of our publication, inshallah, right? So, part 2, learn through experiences. As time goes by, from year to year, you learn from your surroundings, you learn from your friends, you learn through observation and discussion. We have a very beautiful family here via our CS Postgraduate Society. It's a family. This is the part where you share your knowledge, you share your aspiration, you share your motivation, because there is a possibility that your work is overlapped between one and another. So that is why I put here through observation and discussion. And then learn through mistake or past submission. That's me. I'm fine. I can jump very high at that particular time, not now. Okay, so Alhamdulillah, we managed to not publish yet, but our paper has been accepted to this journal. Written by one of your colleagues, Muhammad Amarishad Muhammad Aminuddin. So when we try to publish to this journal, it is not an easy journey. So you have to start from somewhere, right? So when I mention about to start from somewhere, so our first trial submission, rejected. So when you receive this email, the first thing, as a supervisor, because I'm the one who submit the paper, so when you receive it that particular morning, we just like, the first sentence, unfortunately, okay, done. I don't even read the content yet at that particular. Unfortunately, I can see that, like skimming the email, just look at the email. Unfortunately, okay, I know already, bad news. And then I start to, okay, it took me some time to just like, okay, Zarul, you need to be patient, you need to be calm, This is the fact that you are not that good yet, okay? Keep trying, something like that. So I start to figure out, okay, reviewer 1, wow, positive, you see? The icon there. Reviewer 2, kind of like 50-50. But the third reviewer, I think, one of the reason why, yeah, she's or he's the one who killed us. I wish that I know this person. Right. So this is what we call a beautiful journey of life. Right? Because when you receive this, you start to know, for me and my students, so we start to know that there are something that we need to do and improve our paper. So what I did, a week after that, I contacted the editor-in-chief. dear Professor, blah, 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 blah. Is it possible for us to resend back the paper? Because some journals, sometimes they mention that you cannot resend back the paper, something like that, right? So you have to find another journal. Alhamdulillah, he said that, well, do the changes and you can resend it again. So we send it again, then Alhamdulillah. Good one this time. All three very positive. If you can read the first paragraph, you know the things that we need to improve, just read the first paragraph of each. So sounds very positive this time. So I tried to figure out, oh, lucky, no, unfortunately. So this time they said that we need to do the revision first. So now it's still in the revision phase. So I can't make it officially saying that it's published, but inshallah, at least one step is already, one of my leg is already there. So hopefully it will be accepted, inshallah, early next year. So I do believe that to do this needs a very good commitment between the students and supervisors. So these are the things that I want to highlight as well, apart from giving my content in terms of the importance of how you can translate your work into publication. When you do your work, it is not about you yourself do your independent work. You have the supervisors who are going to advise you, to give his or her thoughts on what you can do to improve, the situation based on his or her experiences. I always believe that. So this is how I just show you a bit, like when I have papers, so I give quite a thorough comment because I'm very so-called quite complex person as well, I think. So I comment quite a lot, and the students need to do that thing accordingly. So after, series of discussion, improvement, then students will do much better. Then we can see, well, at the end of the day, the structure is getting better and better. And again, as a supervisor, I am also learning. I don't know everything. I also learn from series of experiments, series of failures. I learned from my friends who have published in a very good, reputable journal as well. So again, this is for you as well. So please always consult your supervisors to discuss further about your progress, whether it is good or not. Sometimes you may stuck somewhere somehow, but you feel afraid to talk to your supervisors. Don't do that, ladies and gentlemen. Don't do that. To complete your PhD, you must have a very good relationship, a positive relationship, not a couple relationship, yeah? A positive relationship. So you need to let your supervisors know what's going on, what can they offer you to help you, and so forth. And bear in mind as well, some of your supervisors are possibly a very super duper busy person, but give them some space, some time as well. Yeah, I'm talking about myself as well and to my colleague as well. We are here to support you, to be together with you in your PhD journey. Always remember that. It is not about you are coming here, you pay with high amount of fees, and suddenly we just let you do your own work. Because people are talking about PhD is all about independence work. Yes, independence. But the purpose of having this good relationship is important for you to move forward from one year to another year. Right? So this is important. So this is another tips on writing literature or a survey paper that I can share with all of you. So the first one, I think this is quite common. Some of this is quite common, but some part possibly things that you possibly just learn today, or possibly you have learned about it before. Ensure the intended journal is related to our chosen topic. I have, my students over there, Ali, our students with Professor Madia, Dr. Manmit. We have one particular paper, for your information. I mentioned this, yeah, Ali. We have submitted 7 times to a journal. One of his current paper, we submitted to a journal. It is a Q2 journal paper in security, now already 8 months. But if you look into that journal, first page, they are supposed to reply to us in 1 month. The median of replying back, the feedback, supposed to be 1 month, but now it's already almost 8 months. You see? So, should we give up? To a certain extent, I feel like, yes, I want to give up. 8 months already. I keep emailing the editor and they're saying that it's still in the process of reviewing. Instead of sending to 3 reviewers, now they send to 5 reviewers. I have the case where my students, the paper was sent to 10 reviewers and suddenly got rejected. You feel, subhanallah, yeah. So all this is kind of like, yeah, if you took from the negative angle, you will not feel happy. So it's better to look from the positive perspective. Well, there must be something that, from the feedback that you can learn and improve. So that's why we are still waiting our 7th time submitting to this journal. If it's get rejected, then Ali, we have to try on number 8. Okay, so ensure the intended journal is related to your chosen topic. This is very important, guys. Okay, look into your core content when you read the journal. Tricks: when you go to that particular journal, try to search the paper which have a similar content. This is very important. Don't only look into the keyword. Keyword is not enough. Go into the content as well. Yeah, try to search the content, look into the paper, then you know that, well, possibly our paper will be suitable with this particular journal. And you can always use these journal finders and so forth. If you ask me personally whether this is really perfect, I would say no. Some of the proposed, if you put your abstract, right? Normally you put your title and your abstract, and then the journal finder will propose you the list of journal. Some of it, yeah, okay. Some of it, not so okay. So don't trust 100%. So knowledge, experience is needed to make a decision whether the chosen journal is going to be the right one or not. Okay? Number 2, check the journal's survey paper. So because we are talking about a survey paper, some journals, sometimes they put their wording, oh, survey paper is accepted. But sometimes when you send, they start to reject. So first, look into the content. So in this example, you can look there. Latest published, article in press, top cited. Sometimes they highlighted, like in this scenario, you can see the keyword there, review, a survey. So definitely they will accept this kind of paper. Compare your survey with other survey paper. So we are talking about the narrative in the introduction bits. Yeah, I'm not going to go further details on this. So this is not our paper. We are just taking this from somewhere. So this is our paper. So what I want to highlight here is basically on the right hand side, you are so-called summarize what others have done. On the right hand side is basically you are addressing the gaps, what make your works unique as compared to what is already there in the market. I think, can we wait for a while for Azan? Apologize because we have to stop for a while for the Asar prayer just now, guys. Okay, so let me continue a little bit further. So on the right hand side, as I mentioned, what others have done. On the left hand side is basically a statement, explicitly state your contribution. I think this is quite common. It's just like you need to know what are the keywords when you write this kind of like paper, especially when it is come for a very good and impactful journal. Okay, literature gathering method. Be clear on how you gathered the reviewed articles. Yeah, can't see tips too. I can see the pop-up here for a while. This one, is it here? Okay. So be clear on how you gathered the reviewed articles. So normally when you read the paper, you will see some form of at least a paragraph to explain how they construct some form of methodology, how they do their gathered data, the comprehensive literature review. Normally, a standard one now is SLR, right? The systematic literature review. So in our work, for example, we introduced this kind of thing. It's quite similar to SLR as well. So we put the so-called representation as a good connotation on the right, as you can see, how we do the searching, you know. So you put the step one by one up until you can do the analyzation part, and you can start to visualize as well. So you explain the flow, the process. It will give the reader, especially the reviewer, some ideas on where it begins and how it ends. Yeah, this is what we are trying to do in our paper. Okay, provide the techniques of classification. Again, this is a part that I mentioned to you just now. Every time when you do your review paper or literature review paper, you need to have some form of table, something like this. Although it's complicated, but I believe that's what reviewer want. Some of the reviewer may read it thoroughly. Some may just like, wow, this is good. At least if you have it, then we are okay. Sometimes if you don't produce it, the reviewer can just say, please add this and this and this. As simple as that. So in our work, we also do that, but we use a different representation, as you can see from here as well. So we try to figure out and we try to diversify the approach and technique when we create our own table, rather than putting all this lengthy word and all those kind of things. So this is among the things that we have produced. Yeah. Provide a research taxonomy. This is also important, because this research taxonomy is going to be, you are going to highlight the hierarchy, you're going to highlight the historical part on how your work can be expanded. So this is like a very typical way of how you do your research taxonomy. On the other hand, our work, we show something like this. So we try to highlight and we show how it expands from main to subheading and the rest, with some example as well. So this is one possible approach that you can use as well in your writings, either in a thesis or in a paper publication. Okay, use a simple and clear sentences. Okay, I learned a lot through this. And of course, if we have lots of money, definitely we can just like send to the proofreader. But it costs you possibly 1,000 ringgit, 2,000 ringgit, possibly more than that. How many of you have sent your paper to proofreader? Wow, okay. How much you pay for it, if you don't mind sharing?
More than 2,000.
More than 2,000. $250, 1,000 over. How about you? Few hundred ringgit. You see, and that one is not for thesis, right? That one is for paper publication. Can you see that? So imagine if it's for your thesis, because we as a supervisors and examiner, we always put there, please proofread this thesis. We always have, because we have the power to put that word, right? So can you imagine? It's lots of money. So if you ask me personally, when I completed my PhD as well, I sent to the proofreader. Yeah, I have to send to the native speakers, And when you send to them, you're supposed to be happy, right? Because your English will be corrected by them. But then when you receive it back, it's just like, wow, you are saying A love B, but now it seems like they change everything, the structure and everything. So double work for you as well, because you need to correct it back. We afraid that the interpretation is going to be wrong, especially for us in the nature of science and technology, because we are very straightforward, right? So they try to put all this flowerish sentence, pusing, all over the place, and then, okay? So let's go and figure out, and I have some pop quiz for you as well. So let's do this together. Okay. Look at this sentence. Malware might probably be able to steal user data. Wow, this is like English class 101. So, what can we improve with this particular sentence? To be honest, it's okay. But you can make it slightly simple. Yeah. Any idea?
Yes, you can say malware can steal user data.
Well done. Perfect. As simple as that, This is the comment that we received from the reviewer. So I share with you guys straight away. For me personally, when you say might probably, it's just like, it's kind of like ambiguous. You put there might, and then it's probably. Something's not right there. So straightforward. Malware can steal user data. As simple as that. Sometimes, as a student, as a lecturer as well, when we write, we keep overthinking. Right? Or what we can do normally, we translate to our native language first, then we translate to English. That's we tend to do as well. That's why you get like the first sentence type of sentence. Next. Various investigations had been carried out to provide and enhance the privacy of the internet users. How can you improve it? I give you a hint there. Any idea? Any idea, guys? Okay, let's go to the answers. First, various investigation performed. Wait, not yet. To enhance the internet users' privacy. Can you see the difference now? Short, neat, and concise as compared to the previous one. Do you think the sentence is complete? What is missing in this sentence? My student tested me with this particular sentence. What is missing in this particular sentence? Can you see the subject in the sentence? No subject. So, that's how you complete it. Researchers perform various investigations to enhance the internet users' privacy. So when I sit together with my colleague from University Malaya, because he managed to publish in JNCA, I think more than 10 papers already, and he published top 10% Q1 paper every year, at least 5. So when I sit together with my students, learn from him, he checked our sentence line by line. Can you imagine that? So one day, he only checked on the introduction part. So that introduction part, this is the bits that he taught me. So he said to me, Zarul, you have a better English than me. But because I know very well how this didn't work, now you have to learn from me, something like that. So I have to like, okay. So these are the things, ladies and gentlemen, students. Simple, but very impactful. Just a minor changes, just a tweak, then you can see the differences in terms of your writing, the content. I think, this is almost at the end of my presentation. So the summary part, we managed to publish in the Scopus Journal, then we aim high for impact factor, then we aim better beyond, which is going to be the top 10% journal. So things that you need to remember before we end our session, know your contents very well. People always say, like me, myself, I know my content lah, no need to worry. Sometimes we say that we know, but we are not really sure what the content is all about. That's why you have to do homework before you go and submit, especially when we are talking about journal publication. Check as much as possible, compare as much as possible the journals that you want to submit. planning and strategy also is a key point. So whatever you need to do, draft everything. As I mentioned again, communicate with your supervisors as well. Yeah, because this is about the teamwork. This is not about individual work. Okay, identify the right journals, address the contribution and uniqueness. Last but not least, as I mentioned, keep trying and don't give up. Yeah, this is the key. Yeah, if we already up until 7th time and we are waiting for our 8th time, so let's welcome to the club, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, so last but not least, I like to read this quote from Dr. Leo Bascaglia, or they call it as a Dr. Love. Too often, we underestimate the power of touch, a smile, a kind word, a listening ear, an honest compliment, or the smallest act of caring, all of which have the potential to turn a life around. So when you do your work, it's all about human part. So you have emotion, supervisors have emotion, support each other, always be together, and don't keep it to yourself alone. Because the journey, the battle that you are having at the moment is not a single battle. It's a battle of everyone. We are family, so we work together, we success together. So with that, thank you so much, everyone. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Any question before we end our session?
Oh, just some point in the chat box. Just now want to recheck the tips number 2.
Tips number 2. Okay, wait. Tips number 2, yeah. Let me go back. Is it this one?
Tips number 2, yeah, I think.
Okay, this is tip number 2. So check the journal survey paper. This is from the, I think this is, I can't remember, I think JN, possibly JNCA, I think. Yeah. So you look there, so you can see the keyword there, review, a survey, so those kind of thing. Any question?
Can you share the material slides?
This material?
Yeah.
Okay, sure. How much do you want to pay? No. It's free for all of you. I'll give it to everyone. No need to worry. No fees, no fees. Okay. Anything else?
No question, but I want to make a comment if I am allowed.
Yes.
Yes. I don't know if you don't mind. Let me start from the very beginning and say I wish to appreciate my senior colleagues who first made the presentations here, and to also say that this particular presentation is a wonderful one. And I was also going to ask that the material be made available for us. Thank God she has mentioned it. So that most sincerely, I appreciate this because it has helped me to understand a little more, much more about the literature review. I am seeing it in a different light now, and I knew that it's a very huge task as far as research is concerned. So it will most likely ginger me to sit up and to do well in my literature review.
Sure.
I want to say we really appreciate this.
Okay, thank you so much.
And I'm happy to, we have people around like
Yeah.
This is a family. So requesting our lecturers, if you don't mind, from time to time, if we see you on the street, we see you anywhere, we can just tap you and say, please, can you explain something here and things like that. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Terima kasih.
Sama-sama. Yes, question, Najiha.
Can I use this because my voice
Oh,
is
yes,
loud?
please. Yes, please.
I have a question, Doctor, about the SLR. What if we don't do the SLR, but we just do the normal literature review, like not providing all
Okay.
those? What do you think?
Okay, that's a very good question. Okay, if you realize, I have published in the census paper, right? Okay, I forgot to mention this. Basically, the census paper, I would consider my paper as unstructured method. Why? Because I don't have a specific section on methodology. So to answer your question, in that particular paper, it's kind of like a normal flow. I just introduced, well, this is going to be the problem. This is a potential solution. I try to propose this timeline. That's it. To a certain extent, I have tried to send this particular paper to some of the journals. Try once in IEEE, got rejected. One of the reason, the methodology part. One of the reason. Not only, that's not the only reason, but one of the reason, they mentioned that this paper should have or should introduce the methodology section. That is why when we try to publish to this current paper, we try to show this part. This is not even, to be honest, initially we don't have methodology section as well for this paper. But then we learn from the mistake. It's not really a mistake, but we care about it, we concern about it, so we show something like this. This is not even a perfect methodology, but at least just to show that there is a way on how you derive your data, your information. So to answer your question, it would be better if you try to have some form of a narrative explain about how you do that, rather than you just leave it like that. Because if you leave it like that, there is a high chance or probability the examiner or the reviewer may ask you question by question by question. Yeah, it is not one question, question by question by question, because you are not providing anything. So they will ask why you are not providing it. Then you put answer, answer, answer. Next question. That's another thing. I hope I answer your question, Najia. Right.
Okay. Thank you very much for the very informative presentation. So I would like to ask, when I go through reading some articles, it's not that much easy to have, as you said before. But I found out that there's.
Can you?
Sorry. Okay. Throughout going through the papers, I found out that you might follow like a Prisma. It just look like a template you can follow to. So I don't know whether how much this is good to have it for.
Well, Prisma is kind of like an approach as well that you can use when you do your literature review. I think it's doable. A good approach when you do all this literature review or background work study, when you try to do this comprehensive analysis, is to use a normal or a popular standard like Prisma. In fact, bibliometric as well, to find the keywords, to find certain theme, all those kind of things. It is acceptable. It's okay. It's just like when you do this, the direction of your work sometimes will divert you to so many aspects. So you need to be very careful to decide how are you going to narrate. You put your own narrative in terms of gathering so much information. So a basic way, as I mentioned, is having a table of comparison. First, just to show, okay, this is basically a collection of problem. This is going to be a collection of solution. This is a very basic rule. But then, after that, you can start to dig further from that problem, from that solution, which one is going to be your focus? Number one. Why you have chosen that? Number two. So this is a very typical way on how you can digest the information. So to answer your question just now, using those approaches is acceptable and it's highly recommended because it is a standard way on how you can gather the data in much appropriate way because you have the qaedah, the technique, the known technique.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So is there any specific length the paper should carry?
That's a very good question as well. It depends on the journal. For example, when we submit to JNCA, initially we have 50 pages paper. But then because of the comments, so we reduce it to 40 pages. Like this particular journal, can't remember. I have not sent my papers yet to this journal, but I have become the reviewer for this particular journal, the ACM Computing Surveys. Sometimes you can get a paper from 30 to 60 pages, and sometimes there is only 15 pages, but accepted. As you can see, the ranking is number three. It's very difficult to get published there. And definitely, as a reviewer, when I read that paper, I'll reject it straight away. Because you have the content, but you are not go to the another level. So to answer your question, it all depends on the journal. Some journals, they already stated 5,000 word, between 5 to 7,000 word. So please follow accordingly. Yeah, it's very important to follow. Sometimes they can just like reject our paper because of these small rules. Formatting, yeah, all this kind of thing, the numbers of word. So please be careful on that as well. Yeah. Welcome. Okay, guys, thank you so much. Pass back to Chairperson.
Thank you.